The difference between where you are and where you want to be in your business is your identity. Do you see yourself as a technician? Someone who shows up every single day, who works under behind the scenes and just tinkers away? Do you see yourself as an operator? Someone who can take the ideas of the CEO and go in and implement and make sure that the technicians are doing the job that the CEO needs them to do every single day? Or do you see yourself as a CEO, as an executive, as a visionary? Design strategy, who puts the plans in place and then makes sure that the operators and the technicians get the job done. How you see yourself is the difference between where you are and where you want to be. Operators, they're reactive. CEOs and executives respond. Operators are always in the weeds. CEOs and executives have their head above the clouds, seeing everything like an eagle as you soar through the sky, identifying what's going to be our next target. How you show up every single day determines your impact, your authority, and your income. If you show up as someone who's a worker bee, then your clients will be lower level worker bee type clients. However, if you show up like an executive every single day, you will attract premium clients. You will attract clients who look at your price and say, no problem, because I believe that you can solve the problem that I have, and the investment is far less than the outcome that I'm ultimately going to get in my business. How you operate as an executive within your business determines how your team sees you. Can your team trust you? Can your team depend on you to show up every single day and execute and operate at a high level? One of the things that I had the blessing to be able to do is I had the opportunity to work for generals, colonels, and even senators while I was in the military. And working at that executive level taught me several things. Executives show up different. Most executives are there before everyone shows up, and they don't go home until hours after everyone has left. They carry themselves as leaders. Leaders understand that when the bombs and the bullets are flying around, things are hot and things are intense, the team is going to follow your example. I remember during COVID where my daughter got sick and she had to be put on a ventilator machine. And during this period, everyone in the world was on high alert. No one wanted to catch the virus, and no one wanted to give anyone else the virus. No one wanted to be in a position to make certain decisions because everyone was operating out of fear. Now, was I afraid when my daughter was put on the ventilator machine? Absolutely. However, I couldn't panic. I had to stay calm. My family was depending on me to be the rock of solidarity during this particular season and period in our lives. They needed me to make decisions. They needed me to not become angry. They needed me to be the one who would be able to say, we're going to be okay. Even though I didn't know exactly what was going to happen, I was terrified. I prayed endlessly. I cried because I thought that I had lost my daughter. However, whenever I stepped out into public, out into the main areas of my home, whenever I stepped out into public and went into the hospital, no one saw my fear. No one saw that I was unsure of what the next steps were going to be. It's because of how I carried myself. I knew the outcome that I wanted. The only thing that I cared about was my daughter getting off the ventilator machine and going home with us. I made sure that the hospital staff fully understood that we were all a team. It wasn't our family versus the hospital staff. This blows my mind whenever you see important situations or when family members are in crucial moments and they're on their deathbed, or the hospital staff is trying to figure out what to do and family members are fighting the hospital staff. That makes no sense to me. There should be open communication. There should be a deep understanding that we all want the same result and the same outcome. You have to operate as that type of leader within your business. If you identify yourself as an executive who understands that the buck stops with me, everything rises and falls with me. You have to operate this way within your home. You have to operate this way within your community as the leader in your business. And you have to operate this way in the greater society of life. People are looking for greater leaders. We don't need more people to come in and tell us, oh, what we need to do. We don't need more people to come in and tell us what we're doing wrong. We need guides. We need leaders. We need people who are going to show up every single day and make sure that when the storm is brewing, everything stays calm. We need people who are going to show up every single day and say, hey, there's a problem. Oh, there isn't a problem. Why? Because I'm here. I'm here to make sure that anything that shows up that we weren't prepared for, I'm prepared to make the decision. I'm prepared to take responsibility for whatever the outcome may be. If it's a positive outcome, I'm going to say to my team, great job. You guys did it. If it's a negative outcome, my fault. I take full responsibility for that because that's what great leaders do. Now, you won't be able to get the kind of results that you want within your business until you shift your identity. You have to shift from being the person who is, I have no idea what's going on. That lack of competence and that ability to show that you aren't ignorant is what's going to galvanize your troops. It's what's going to get your team to say, I'll follow you into battle. It's going to get your clients to believe that you're the one that's capable of solving their problems. When you show up as a CEO in the identity of a leader who understands how to fix things, that's when everyone believes in you. If you can't get people to believe in your vision and believe that you're going to show up consistently every single day, no one's going to follow in your footsteps. You know, there's this image where there's two images, one at the top and one at the bottom. And on these two particular images, the leader is in a different position in both images. In one image, the leader is sitting on top of the carousel that the team is carrying, and the leader is telling them, go forward, while the team is underneath straining, trying to pull the carousel and the leader forward. But then there's the second image where there's no one on the carousel. The leader is out front, and he or she is pulling their team forward saying, come, we're going to go in this direction. That requires a major shift in your identity. That requires a major change in how you see yourself. That requires you to show up every single day as your greatest version. It requires you to read the books. It requires you to take the courses. It requires you to be in the room and sit at the tables that everyone around you need you to be in, and the tables they need you to sit at. If you're not willing to shift your identity so that you can show up and be the leader that everyone needs you to be, your results are going to stay the same.